Hey, what's up, guys? This is Mr. Davidian, and today we are looking at how to write a rhetorical analysis. Take about 8 minutes, so let's get to it. All right.
So one of the easiest ways to simplify a rhetorical analysis is to break it down into a simple sentence, and we're going to be practicing that today. So obviously we have to discuss who wrote the piece, who wrote the work, who wrote the passage. Obviously we discussed the author. Now when you mention in this simple sentence, you mention the author's name, there's a couple different synonyms or different ways you can refer to the author. Then you're going to use some type of verb, whether the author said it, he argued it, whether he uses it, whether he employs a certain device, which is what we'll talk about next. Does he use figure of language? Is it just a little statement? Is it symbolism? And all these other different strategies. And if you're in AP language, you're familiar with all these different terms. Obviously, you're going to back up your evidence with a quote. And then last but not least, you're going to explain the device and the quote and what is the author's intended effect. And when you do that, you're going to start with a verb. Maybe it's an argument verb like claims or refutes. Maybe it's illustration verb like to show. Maybe it's just literal like he describes or explains or expresses. Maybe he's hinting something or emphasizing. And obviously, there's a few more there. And then you're going to follow that with your commentary or explanation. Now, obviously, we always assume that your commentary is going to talk about the author, the audience, the importance or exigence of the situation or problem, the context, the surrounding context, geography, or historically. You're going to talk about the author's ultimate purpose or intended effect for the audience. How does he want the audience to respond? And last but not least, is it just to clarify or illustrate his message? And last but not least, we assume that the author is going to strategically. Also, you need to remember that in a rhetorical analysis, the explanation is the most important thing. Having the correct device name or other things are not as important as actually kind of getting into the deeper levels of meaning, nuanced interpretations, and complexities and reasons why the author is saying what he's saying. Everybody say why. Count of three, say why. 1, 2, 3. Why? Yes. Why did the author say what he said? It's easy for somebody to quote because you're just copying. In an AP Lang essay, rhetorical analysis, they want to hear your thoughts on why the author said what he said. Any student can quote and explain or give devices. Oh, that's alliteration, that's imagery, that's illusion, that's, whatever. But it takes a higher level student to be able to explain why. And so that's most important. So don't get caught up on all the terminology, metaphors and similes and all that. Spend most of your time explaining these 6 different topics. And last but not least, we're assuming a few things, that the author is strategic, purposeful, intentional, deliberate, specific, careful, thoughtful, meticulous, systematic, logical, precise, intricate, and there's a few more there.
Okay, before we move on, I want to share with you guys some cool AP Lang resources. If you guys go to the College Board YouTube channel, they are giving so many different cool lessons and tutorials about how to write different essays and arguments. You cannot avoid or ignore this resource. You have to check out their videos. They're very good, very insightful. Let's take a look at what she had to say in yesterday's lesson.
And that is commentary. And talking about analysis, and I want to give you a quick anecdote. And when he was a senior, I sent him an email, or I found him in the hallway, and I said, hey, would you mind giving me a few of your essays? And on the back, I saw that he had been passing notes with someone else in the class. And on the back of his essay, he wrote something like, she always says more analysis needed. I have no idea what she's talking about. And there's this amazing exchange between Glenn and this other student about, we don't know what she means. And I think that was a really good moment for me as a teacher to recognize that sometimes we say things like analysis and commentary, and we think it's clear, but it might not be to you. So my goal today is to really help you understand how commentary is going to be evaluated on your rubric.
So if you guys listen to what she was saying, she was mentioning that a lot of students have difficulty understanding what commentary is. Now, if you're in my class, you understand from the get-go, I always explain commentary in terms of using an effects verb and then explaining or giving commentary after the effects verb. You'll notice from the video, she mentions in a few of her examples that she wants her students to give commentary, obviously. But if you noticed, a lot of their commentary began with a few of these different words. And here's a bunch of different words I want to show you. You can always take screenshots of these 2 slides. You can also go to my website and download these pictures in its entirety for free. Just go to davidianbrothers.com/English and you can see all the different pictures. Just download them there. And you'll notice that I use a lot of these in our next video. So go to the website, download those pages, or take screenshots of these 2 slides. All right, so let's do some examples today. The first question I have for you for this passage by Native American leader Canasatego, please count how many sentences he uses in his letter to the colonists in Virginia. All right, so if you guessed 6, you are correct. He uses 6 sentences. Now the next question would be, which sentences were the longest? The answer is 5 and 6 were 1, 5, and 6 tend to be the longest. So in order to save you guys some reading, we're just going to focus on 2 sentences today, just sentence 5 and 6. So I'm going to read it for you. It says, several of our young men were formerly brought up in the colleges of the northern provinces. They were instructed in all your sciences. But when they came back to us, they were bad runners, ignorant of every means of living in the woods, unable to bear either cold or hunger, know neither how to build a cabin, take a deer, kill an enemy, spoke our language imperfectly, were therefore neither fit for hunters, warriors, nor counselors. They were totally good for nothing. That's a very long sentence. We were, however, not less obliged for your kind offer, though. Now, I'm going to stop there. Now, why would a Native American leader, Kanasatego, use such long sentences and high-level vocabulary? Well, here's my example. We're going to use this template. If I'm going to use this sentence template, this is what I could say. Kanasatego uses formal diction and long, complex sentences in his defense, lines 1, 5, and 6, to display his intelligence and to express that Native American education should not be viewed as inferior by the colonists. All right. Now, another way to write, remember, is that there's no right or wrong way to write this rhetorical sentence. In other words, you can move some of the pieces around. You can mention the author last or first. You can mention the quote first or last. You can mention the commentary and explanation from the very beginning. Or the device, you can name it last as well. So let me show you an example. By using formal diction in long, complex sentences in his defense, Kanasatego displays his intelligence to express that Native American education should not be viewed as inferior. Should not be viewed inferior or as inferior. Okay. So those are a few examples. Now I want you guys to analyze sentence number 5 and 6, which are one we read sentence 5. Sentence 6 says, we are, however, not the less obliged for your kind offer, though we decline accepting it. And to show our grateful sense of it, if the gentlemen of Virginia shall send us a dozen of their sons, we shall take great care of their education, instruct them in all we know, and make men of them. Now, without giving you any help, take sentence 5 and sentence 6. I want you to write a sentence for each one using the format we talked about. All right? Good luck.
All right, so if you guys wrote a sentence explaining sentence 5, it might look something like this. Furthermore, Kanasatego uses irony, claiming that his young people returned from the colonist college unable to do all these things, because obviously we want to be specific and back up our evidence, or back up our claim using evidence. So unable to hunt, build, defend, communicate the language clearly, or endure simple weather. And obviously I summarized some of those things, cold or hunger, I just put simple weather. Clearly ridiculing their education system as inadequate for anyone trying to survive in the real world. And notice this commentary after has a lot of specifics, surviving in the real world. But obviously he's using irony to ridicule that these Native Americans came back without even a good education to survive in the real world, ridiculing their education system. And it's ironic that if they went to an American college, that you'd expect them to be educated, but in this case they weren't, which is why it's irony. Now, sentence 6 is a little more humorous. Obviously, he says, we will make men of your sons if you send them to us. And what is the implication? That the colonists' education are not making what out of what? They're not making men. So, which is ironic again, but it's also humorous. It says, for an example, lastly, the chief satirically mocks the colonists by offering to make men of their sons, to imply that after receiving a colonist education, colonist sons are still children, or worse, women, not a so subtle slap in the face to their manhood and college curriculum. If I could say this a little more simply, it's a clear slap in the face to their manhood and college curriculum. So those are just 2 examples on how to write a rhetorical analysis sentence.
And hopefully this was helpful to you. All right, guys, thanks for watching this episode. Hopefully you guys gained some new insights on how to give a rhetorical analysis in a simplified form. If you guys click on the next link, we're going to write an entire essay on last year's AP Lang exam. So hopefully you guys see you guys in the next video. Take care.